Yeah. Hello, my name is Alexander Gellner. I'm an animator and illustrator living in Berlin. Today we're going to talk about character design, or as I understand character design, and letter design, so a little bit of lettering and typography theory. This is a comic called Alter Ego Comic Artist Go to Hell. And it's about me going to hell because I do comics and trying to get out of hell and get a deal. These are 2 pages of a graphic novel project I've been developing for quite some time. It's called Schrottbot and Max, and a couple of pages are exhibited here. This is the same project in another style, in a painted style. And now these are some pictures of mostly animation work I've been doing. I run a small animation and design company in Berlin called Bitteschön TV. And since I understand the art of storytelling within the medium of comic books and within animation quite similar, I want to show you some animation too, because it leads to our common subject today. Thank you and have a good night. Bye. What I want to talk to you about is that the basic principles of illustration, animation, of graphic design always stay the same. Quick question, who here draws comic books? Or draws? Okay. I want to come to this phase first, talk about character design and talking about how shapes communicate. I'm going to show you now the film, a short film. So this is about the love story, of course. You also about a circle and a square, which are 2 basic shapes. We had a story right there. There was out of those shapes we could develop a little story. So we learned some behavior about a square and a circle, or a box and a ball, and how they move. And it's a fun thing to be really basic. And if you're drawing comics, it's a good thing, or if you do an animation, it's a good thing to always think about those basic shapes. Yes, animation is fine. It's a frame. The can show you frame-by-frame animation, an example in 1 minute. If I would have applied a design that was like the comic strip I've showed you before, it wouldn't be so much fun, you know, because if you have a cartoon character, all the changes don't affect you as much. But when this guy, who is rather normal looking, falls, I think you feel the fall a little bit more yourself, and that makes it more effective. Also, this took me 8 weeks of day and night of work, so don't do it too much. I'm gonna show you some comic work actually now. This story is about finding a friend. The TV screen is the head of the robot, and Max can reflect his own face onto the screen of the robot, so he can put something of himself into this machine. So drawing a little boy is not that complicated, but drawing a character that is made of little parts of junk is a little more complicated. Everybody learned the humanoid form. You know how a human works, you know, 2 arms, 2 legs. And I can put all the little detailed things in it. For example, there's a washing machine, there's a microwave, there's all kind of stuff that Max steals or picks up, and he puts it into this robot, but still he can be a character. I'm gonna skip to the typography now. The thing is, in this comic I wanted to show that the robot and the boy's voice are different. So I lettered the typography in different typeface. The boy's voice was a font that we would regularly recognize as comic book font, while you can still read the type of the robot. It's a little bit harder to read, and I wanted to simulate that his voice, it's synthetic chords. It's robot voice, like. This gives your character a voice without doing anything on the character himself.
I want to ask you about transforming your handwriting into lettering. How do you do it, and is there any rules?
I'm very glad that you asked, because I wanted to show you this. I can draw well, but I'm really impatient, especially with lettering. So to help myself, what I would do is I would type the sentence in a computer with a type that has a nice spacing, and either print it out with light blue on a cardboard, and then draw on this type with your characters. Or you can of course do it if you have a Wacom tablet. You can just in Photoshop press T, then do your text, and then press B for the brush, and then you draw the text. Okay, next example. This is for a short film also. So in Russia, it's Cosmonaut. It's about a cosmonaut who is in space and he works for himself, by himself. And this I just want to show you how I come up with my designs. I most of the time do many iterations. In top, you see my references. So I look at the real world. I look at examples of how spacesuits are built. And from those spacesuits, I do my own versions and I play around with the designs. You know, I write down things, I do many shapes there, how it could look. And here, just to make it more interesting, I mixed old Roman Empire design in the spacesuit. This has to do with the story because it's a really short story and it is about order versus chaos. So to sum it up, the astronaut, he works on a satellite and then he has to sneeze. And the problem is when you sneeze in your spacesuit, you cover your shield. So this is a big problem, and it's about chaos and things that fall apart. And I thought if I incorporate the design of a fallen empire, I will emphasize this message more. And I'm of the opinion that when you have one main idea and you want to, one story and you want to communicate it fast, you have to put every emphasis of your design into this one idea. And there you can see some heads where I tried out different heads where I wasn't certain. Okay, the next is more cartoon project I have been doing. Jack and Jill, anybody knows the little children's rhyme? Okay, one English guy is doing this, the other one. Okay, it's just let's say just two characters that do funny things all every day. So I have two personalities. I have Jack and I have Jill. They are friends and they always do things. And today they're gonna bake something. They bake a cake. So they're baking, and Jill says, "Jack, don't eat all the cookie dough. It will get big in your belly." And Jack says, "I keep something for you." Oh, and in the same, in the second page, panel, he just says it will get bigger. And in the last page, it really got bigger. So the character got bigger. Here you see not only that I apply through simple sentences some sense of personality, I always use the paneling to emphasize the idea. Of course, when you create characters, it's always important to like the characters, to like to draw them. You know, it's not. It would be wise to, for me, for example, to look at Spider-Man, like how he's drawn, like Marko Djordjevic drew Spider-Man, and I like his style, and I try to do the same because I find it's cool. I find it that I failed in my past when I tried to do a style from an artist I really liked. So this is maybe a little tip that I can give you.
Что появляется первым, история или персонаж?
Actually, if you're interested in this, I would suggest to you a book by Philip Parker, which is called The Creative Matrix. But actually, and if I can answer it, it's sometimes one way or sometimes the other.